So let's talk subpoenas. Mike Pence's former chief of staff, Marc got one and just testified to a federal grand jury in Washington, D.C. And now it looks like Ginni Thomas may be in line to get a subpoena from the J6 House Select Committee. Let's talk about that, because justice matters. Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. Okay, let's talk subpoenas. First of all, the January 6th House Select Committee. You know, they are in for a penny, they are in for a pound, they are in for a ton, based on some new reporting. But as an aside, can I just say, Representative Benny Thompson and Representative Liz Cheney may live on the opposite sides of the Grand Canyon when it comes to politics and ideology. But boy, when it comes for fighting for our democracy, there is no daylight between them. They are lockstep. And now we hear that they are on the verge of subpoenaing Ginni Thomas, the wife of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas. Here's the new reporting from CNN. Headline, January 6 committee could subpoena Ginni Thomas. And the article begins, the committee investigating the events surrounding the January 6, 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol will contemplate a subpoena for Virginia Ginni Thomas, the wife of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, if she does not voluntarily meet with the committee over her role in advocating to overturn the 2020 election results, the committee's co-chair said Sunday. Well, if I can borrow from a famous ad campaign, I would say to the J6 committee, just do it. Break barriers. Take a maiden legal voyage. Subpoena the wife of a sitting Supreme Court justice. Why? Well, for one, she has important information and evidence about the insurrection, about the attempted overthrow of our democracy. There's a good reason to subpoena her. And you know the other reason the January 6th committee should subpoena Ginni Thomas? To break a barrier, to set a precedent that says if you are the spouse of a sitting Supreme Court justice, you are not above the law. You are subject to a subpoena just like we mere mortals are. And then J6 committee, subpoena former Vice President Mike Pence. Break that barrier. Set a precedent that says if you're a former vice president, you are not above the law. When you have critically important information and evidence relevant to an attack on our democracy, you will be expected to comply with subpoenas and testify about it, just like we mere mortals. And then J6 committee, do members of Congress. Don't protect your own. Members of Congress who were involved in the insurrection. Break the barrier, set the important precedent that if they have information relevant to the overthrow of our democracy, then gosh darn it, they will testify about it. They will be compelled to testify. Subpoenas apply to them just like they apply to us. That's where I believe the January 6th committee should go. Let me add this footnote. Ginni Thomas, or members of Congress who have a Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination, Josh Hawley, Ginni Thomas, who was urging Mark Meadows to tell the president to overturn Joe Biden's election win. Why? Well, because as she texted Mark Meadows, there are Biden crime family members and ballot fraudsters who are being detained on barges off Gitmo, awaiting their military tribunals for sedition. That was her reasoning. Those were the facts she offered. to Mark Meadows to convince Donald Trump to overturn the election's results. So yes, she will have a Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination, as will others. Subpoena them and let them assert their Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination, because that is the way our system was designed. But by all means, serve them with subpoenas, because they are not above the law. On the subpoena front, another story broke today, friends. This from ABC News. Former Pence chief of staff appears before grand jury probing January 6th. Marc Short appeared under subpoena. Short would be the highest-ranking Trump White House official known to have appeared before the grand jury. Oh yeah, things are heating up. They're heating up against Donald Trump. Think about this, friends. Marc Short, the former chief of staff to Vice President Mike Pence. Who do you think he will be loyal to in his testimony before the grand jury? Let's hope it's completely truthful and accurate. But where might his loyalties reside? You think he is going to be loyal to a twice impeached, failed criminal president who sided with his supporters, his armed supporters, the angry mob that he set on the Capitol on January 6th, and who, when asked, said, "I agree with my supporters that Mike Pence should be hanged"? You think that's who Marc Short will remain loyal to? Or will he remain loyal to the vice president that he served as chief of staff, who was Donald Trump's victim of violence on January 6th, and who stood up in the moment and did the right thing by certifying Joe Biden's win? If I had to guess, I would say Marc Short will hopefully tell the full truth before the grand jury, lest he wants to catch a criminal charge of his own, and his loyalties will likely run to the vice president that he served as chief of staff, a vice president who was, in a very real sense, Donald Trump's victim on January 6th. The Department of Justice, perhaps at long last, is working its way up the criminal food chain. These are good signs. A good sign from the January 6th committee, because like I say, they look like they're in for a penny, in for a pound, in for a ton, in for justice. And a good development on the DOJ front, because they've put before a federal court grand jury the chief of staff of the Vice President of the United States. That's important. We're moving in the right direction at long last. Friends, as always, please stay safe, please stay tuned, and I look forward to talking with you all again tomorrow.